whilst we are on constituency period, but like we have indicated that we might probably call this meeting. So let me ask you, Llewellyn, to just do a roll call.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have yourself, Honorable Binko Gigaba. I have Honorable Aduans. I have Honorable Letsie. I have Honorable Sibela. I have Honorable Fry, Honorable Mashabela, and Honorable Sukers, Chairperson. Thank you.
Any apologies?
None has come through yet, Chairperson.
Okay. No, then that's fine. Can you help us with flighting the agenda, Llewellyn? Members on the agenda, we are having an engagement in consideration of the written submissions on the BELA Bill. And then we will probably, after that, consider the extension of the deadline, which was the 15th of June. And then we will be deliberating on the processing that we are going to adopt moving forward. And then we will consider and adopt the minutes of the 14th of June. Can I ask you, if members don't mind, can I ask that we don't adopt those minutes, we adopt them when we are back normally? We just deal with this matter of the BELA Bill, taking into consideration the fact that we are under, most of us probably are struggling with the issues of electricity. But this is the agenda. Can I ask members to adopt? Thank you, Honorable Aduans.
Greetings to yourself, honorable members, and Mr. Brown and the staff. Chair, I heard you made a proposal that we don't deal with minutes today. I'm in agreement with your proposal that will deal with the minutes, and I move to adopt the agenda with those changes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sukers. Honorable Letsie.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening to yourself and everybody else. I'm also expecting load shedding at 6:30. I'm here now, but yeah, I will continue to contribute. I move to second the adoption of the agenda with the proposed amendment. Thank you.
Siyabonga, thank you very much. That voice is horsey. That voice is horsey from a weekend.
It was very busy.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Letsie. At this point, probably I must just ask our secretary to take us through on the written submission, what has happened, where are we now?
Thank you, Chairperson. If you will allow me, just very quickly, we have, of course, reached the deadline of the 15th of June. And for those later publications, it was on the 20th of June. We had the two platforms where people could submit their written or submissions or comments. Those two platforms were the Google Online application and the dedicated email address that was created for these submissions, Chair, I can just indicate to the committee that to date on the Google online applications, there was approximately 392 submissions received. And then on the dedicated email address, Chairperson, I can indicate that there was 17,400 submissions, Chair, which brought the total to around 17,793. Those were the submissions received for both the Google online form as well as the dedicated email address, Chairperson. As you are aware, we are now at a stage where the Secretariat and the committee's staff would be having to do the necessary summarizations and collating of these, Chairperson. And we are now at that stage, and I know that the section itself has indicated that we will be given some extra staff because it's quite a lengthy process and quite daunting with all these the 17,000 submissions that we have to go through. These will be summarized, Chairperson, indicating who has made a submission, whether they agree, do not agree, or partially agree with the bill. Also an indication of where they might have their theme or where the issues are that they would like to raise. Also an indication we will be able to glean from the submissions whether the persons or organizations may or may not have requested to do an oral submission, and we will take it from there. And then of course whatever comments the organizations or persons may have wanted to indicate on their written submission, Chairperson. One can, of the 17,000, I'm speaking specifically on the dedicated email address, Chair. It's a lot of them, you could put them into probably three categories where it's just a one-liner where the person just indicates that they do not agree with the bill or they agree with the bill. No further comments. Then you have a category where the person indicates their agreement, non-agreement, or partial agreement with a 2 or 3 paragraph submission. And then you have your more substantial submissions where the organizational persons would have submitted something as an attachment. These are quite substantial submissions, Chair. And once again, it's also an indication as to whether these persons or organizations would be requesting to do oral submission. Chair, that is where we are currently. And between the Secretariat and the committee, the unit, we are now at a stage where we are starting to summarize and to collect the information for easy reading for members. I did, and part of the agenda, you will probably raise this now, but there has been some requests, written requests, telephone requests, indicating whether there be an extension of the deadline for these written submissions of comments, Chair. And that is probably part of the reason why we are having this meeting this evening. Chairperson, other than that, I'm not sure whether Portia, my colleague, would like to add anything at this stage, but that is more or less where we are. 17,900 submissions received, Chairperson, on both the Google online form and the dedicated email address. Portia, I'm not sure if there's something you would like to add.
Thanks, Mr. Brown. Good evening, Chair and the members of the Portfolio Committee. From my side, in terms of the Google form in particular, of note, I have just checked that to date, 37% of the population have made the submissions. And my submissions on the Google form, mainly so far, is coming from the Gauteng province at 53%, followed by Limpopo at 21.2%, Western Cape at 10%. Provinces less than 10%, I think they're almost the same. They've not been indicated. In terms of the rough summary on the yes or no's, there's 21% saying yes, 72% saying no, the rest saying partial. On the issue of stakeholders, I was interested to note that there are parents that have also formed a group, as well as a group on the construction. Now, on what Mr. Brown is saying in terms of the extension, that extension share will be recommended in the sense that critical stakeholders, in particular the schools or learners who would use Braille format. We have tried to look into the Braille formatting. However, the processing of it is taking a bit of time, and we feel that learners who use Braille format will also have to really, especially the schools, have a submission on this. So the extension date, therefore, will also give them that opportunity to bring in the voices of such institutions. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Chair.
I got lost a bit. I disconnected. Members would understand, but I take it that you had briefed the committee on the submissions, also on the issue of the extension. Mr. Brown and Ms. Mchekwane, Mpude Mchekwane. So members, that's what it is now. We've got about 17,700.
Yeah, we're losing you. I can't hear you.
They are not just to assist them, but also I think they have reflected on the issue. Honorable Adwans, can you then take over? I'm not sure, am I audible now or what? No data?
You were audible. You are audible
I
now,
did mention
but
I've got network challenge.
I also have a load shading. I don't know if I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Chair, it is Honorable Sukas here. Both yourself and Honorable Adwins are audible.
Okay, no, thank you. As Chair was saying, that there's the report and the briefing of both the submissions and the recommendations for extension. Can I hear from members their views? I would note comrade members now. I see the hand of Honorable Sukers and Honorable van der Walt and Honorable Boshoff. I see those three hands for now. And Honorable Suela. Can, in that note, Honorable no data and Honorable Litie, in that manner, can you start, honorable members, as I have noted you?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to move that, yes, that the consideration be taken up on extending the deadline. The newspaper advert went out on the 15th of May, and that period from the 15th to the 15th of June fell within the school exam period. So learners in particular have not been able to make comments because they've been writing exams, and the schools closed on the 24th, and then it's reopening on the 19th of July. So an extension would allow learners and educators and homeschoolers particularly to have time to comment. It will also give schools an additional 15 days to consider comment after they reopen. So it would be best to give them 30 days after opening and consider the extension until the 15th of August. Then the other, Chair, is this is a complex bill and new matters have been added, such as the lowering of the age of compulsory education. Then there has also been a concern that the bill allows for mandatory vaccination, and some changes have taken place related to the requirement for a vaccination certificate when a learner is admitted. So that a failure to provide such documents can lead to the prosecution of a parent. And this issue particularly is becoming very controversial. So we need clarity and advocacy around this issue from the DBE. And if we don't allow for more comment to allow this issue to be thoroughly ventilated, we may increase concerns around what is already a very controversial bill, and it would hamper the work of the committee, as this then can become a major focus. Lastly, Chair, I just want to say I work with schools in the rural areas, as the committee knows, and many are unaware of the bill. Also, the bill is not available in languages other than in English. And so an extension will give NGOs the opportunity to make translations into Braille and other languages available, as was mentioned by the team that was making the submission. We also received reports of submissions bouncing, so we can assume that it's maybe because of the volumes, and this would also obviously allow people to resubmit. So those are just, Chair, in support of an extension that I want to highlight.
Thank you. The next one. Ms. van der Walt.
Chair, sorry, I'm also struggling with load shedding, but good evening, colleagues. Chair, without duplicating what the Honourable Sukkers have said, we would also like to go for an extension for at least 30 days. We can discuss whether it should start now or should it start after the schools reopening. But obviously, from the beginning, we had an issue and raised concern that all the adverts didn't go out on the same time, more or less. And obviously that there were some languages that were later than the English language specific. And the other issue were, of course, also the fact that only English were published in a national newspaper, while almost every other one was either in a regional or local newspaper, which makes it very difficult to adhere to the transparency of a government, as well as thorough public participation when this and a bill like this one really touches every community. I'm also very much in favor for the extension on behalf of the DA on all the languages. It takes a lot longer to get the message through to all communities, and in particular our deaf and blind learners to and teachers and communities to give their inputs as well. So we obviously support an extension, and I think that's the right thing to do when a country actually brings new legislation. It must be given enough time. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Boshoff.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I will also request to keep my camera off due to load shedding and related issues. I want to add my voice to that of Honorable Sukkers and Van der Walt, who have just spoken. I think if one looks at this whole issue from a distance, one can see that maybe the bill that will be accepted regulating schools will be the one counting for the next 30 years, because the previous one seems to have lasted, or seems to will have lasted by its end for nearly 30 years. That means that one does not only have to look at present situation and present circumstances, but one really has to look over the hill. If one just takes into consideration what the changes have been over the past 30 years, and if one asks oneself, had all this been conceivable 30 years ago, and had all this been regulatable in a law 30 years ago, then one realizes what is the challenges of having a law for the next 30 years. And I want to add to that this bill has been presented the first time in 2017, and I don't think anybody needs to be reminded that since then the potential of online work, online school, online study, which had existed maybe since the 1990s, have just manifested itself in everyday reality. And in a sense, well, I find it inconceivable to say that an education bill which had been presented before the lockdown and everything which that caused. I mean, this lockdown maybe ignited the social revolution equal to the Second World War, luckily with fewer deaths, fewer fatalities. But it's really a major restructuring of society and of education which has been brought about. And it's not a normal law that just tweaks the way in which we deal with reality a little bit. This is something which we could say the earth has fundamentally shifted below our feet. And everything has to be rethought, especially in the area of education. And this period for public participation, I know the department had its own process for participation already, and that it was really very nice and very good from this portfolio committee to have its own process to add to the one which is legislated. But this ended while we were still in lockdown, even if it was a very relaxed lockdown. But we really still need to process what has happened in the past 3 years. And for that, we need not even only academics in the educational area, but maybe also philosophers, thinkers about futurologists, all these kinds of disciplines need to really, in a fundamental and comprehensive way, re-look education. Education in homes, education in schools, education in independent schools, in education in micro schools, collaborative home education. It's all these modalities of education which is not taken into account with this act. So I think we should really reopen the process for written submissions and oral submissions. And I would like to add to that before we go out for oral submissions in the field, in the provinces and in the districts, that should be done with a new bill, because it's going to be a terribly expensive project which will amount to nothing, because this is an old bill, unsuitable for the future it has to regulate. So that's the opinion of myself and of the Freedom Front. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Boshoff. Honorable Suela.
Greetings. Let me also apologize for not
Mr. Suela, can you come back?
opening
Can you come back, Mr. Suela?
video. I think most of us are experiencing the same challenges. Chair, I may have 1,000 words to express why and give several reasons for the extension. Of course, I am warming up to the idea. Yes, do you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Hello, Honorable, can
We
you hear
hear
me?
you now. Yes, continue now. We can hear you clearly.
Hello,
We hear you, Mr. Suela. Continue.
am I audible, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, Chair. Okay, thank you very much for the
Honorable Not that I can you come in so long? We lost my Honorable Siwela for now. Honorable Not that.
I've also got load shedding, Chair, but am I audible?
Yes, you are. Continue.
All right. All right, Chair. Chair, first of all, I'd just like to support and echo the sentiments that were shared by Honorable Van der Walt regarding the extension of the submissions, considering that the submissions were only published in one national paper for English, in particular, the Sunday Times. And the other indigenous languages were not published on a national paper. I don't know what the implications of that will be. But I think, if we try and spread the message across, as Honorable Sukers has mentioned, that a person in Kangu in Mount Frere can be able to make a submission, having seen that there's a bill of this nature that is coming to the committee, and are able to make their own valuable indigenous language submissions. The second thing is that there are some complaints that I've personally received as a member of the committee regarding emails that bounce back, and those emails not being able to reach honorable, reach the committee to ensure that those people make their submissions. The third thing I would like to raise, Chair, is that in terms of what has been presented today by the Secretariat, is that in their putting together of the information of the over 17,000 submissions, it's very important not just to simply give us the numbers of what those are and the categories, but the contents of those submissions based on those categories. So it's very important so that when we do engage on it, we don't just simply engage on the numbers of submissions that have been made, but thoroughly engage the contents of the submissions that have been made, so that we don't do a box ticking exercise of comments. Not saying that that would be the case, but I want us to be able to ensure that we thoroughly interrogate the contents that have been then submitted by people that I would have commented. And then I would also like to just pose a question, Chair, on two things. Since Portia submitted or made a presentation about breaking down of the provinces that have submitted, what the percentages are, what all the support is, and whatever the case may be. If can we please get that in writing, so that we ensure that when we do read the minutes in the next meeting, we're able to decipher that information, even though it will be packed to us, so that we can kind of get a sense of where the bill is going, so that when we do engage, we don't disadvantage or advantage any specific group of people that have made the necessary submissions. And then the last thing, Chair, is just to emphasize that it's important for us to ensure that beyond, the support of extending the submissions, the public submissions, that we give an opportunity for people to outline their oral submissions, not just in writing, but to come and present to the committee and what that would look like exactly. And we need to outline the process of what that exactly would look like, in conjunction on what the public participation process would look like, considering that this has been sent out while there were school exams, now it's school holidays, so we can't really push it through to ensure that everybody has a chance, a bite, or comment that they can make. So it's important for us to be able to outline that. And I would like to get clarity from you, Chair, as to whether that process has been outlined yet, as to what the oral submissions will look like, and how one can apply to ensure that they get an ear from a committee on an oral basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Notata. Honorable Litie, and then you will come, Honorable Mpingo Kikaba.
Thank you very much, Chair, Standing Chair. I got cut off a number of times when other members were speaking. As I said, I was expecting load shedding at 18:30, but it came early. This is the only time when ESCOM delivers on time. Sometimes they deliver even before time. Chair, I'm also rising to support the views of other members on the extension, given the technicalities of the bill being converted to different languages. I think we also need to make a point that we must, when we extend, we must be clear that this will be the only time where, when we are extending. So if it's the 15th of August, let us be clear that it's on the 15th of August and there will be no more extension granted moving forward. And I think the second reason that I'm advancing for extension might be, we have 17,000 plus are not really enough. I know that we still have to go and get oral submissions, but on written submissions, 17,000 might not be enough. And I'm advancing that we give them an extension, but be clear that it's a last extension. Thank you very much, Chair. And I hope I was audible.
You were very much audible with the hoarse voice, but thank you very much, Honorable Letiye. Honorable Chair on Bingu Gigaba.
No, thank you, Chair. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Oh, no, thank you very much. No, I think I'm wholly covered. I'm wholly covered by all the speakers. I think, as usual, our committee don't really have serious disagreements on issues. So I think we are on agreement, Chair, that we should grant the people of the country extension. Though I'm not sure whether there's someone in the meeting that can guide us in terms of advertisements, should we re-advertise? Or what will be the process moving forward? But my view is that if the committee allows, because obviously there would be a medium, not a media, but rather a statement, this parliamentary statement that normally go out after a meeting that would alert people that we are continuing. We allow people to submit as from tomorrow. They submit as soon as they get an information that they can submit. If we need to do re-advertisement, we can probably start a re-advertisement from July to August, like there was a proposal of August the 15th. Then we know that the August the 15th then will be the last date that we allow submissions to the committee. So from my side, Chair, I think we are in agreement. We all agree on the probably a way forward. But I think everybody is in agreement that we need to allow an extension. And what probably Honorable Notata raised, I'm not sure how long will the parliamentary staff take to sort out the submissions that are already received in terms of their content and in terms of where really they are coming from, because it's an information that we also need. And I'm not sure if we will be given or granted another opportunity to have a meeting of that nature. But if we don't, and they do that whilst we are still on constituency, I think probably it's an information that we can share amongst ourselves as members of the committee. I don't think there is a train smash as far as that is concerned. So we just need to tighten up the dates as the committee, agree on the dates of the extensions. When are we going to give another deadline, and how then do we move forward from there? Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there is a popular view that there be an extension for a month, at least up until the 15th of August. I think we all agree on that, but we need also to prepare thoroughly, or the committee must prepare thoroughly for making sure that all languages are included in communicating this written submission period, and they must try to reach all corners of the country. And there is also a concern or a question that was raised by Honorable Sukers of, I think it was about additional clauses to the bill. I see the DBE officials. I don't know if they'll be able to respond to the concern, whether it is that it is true, whether there are additionals or not. Maybe if you can hear from them, and also some of the questions that were raised by honorable members, I would give over to Mr. Brown, DBE, and Ms. Posh to give clarity and also to answer to questions that maybe they have noted. Let me just give to you. But before that, also let me register the comment by Honorable Siwela as he was breaking. He says he's in support of the bill, that he's in support of the written submissions to be extended for a month. So can I hand over to you, Mr. Brown, Ms. Posh, and DBE? You're welcome. Can you just come in and clarify where you had issues that are concerning the department?
Thank you, Chairperson. It's Llewellyn. Just one or two things that I might want to indicate. One is that Chairperson also raised the issue of we will have to re-advertise, or whether it will be in the form of a media statement or a media alert. I will have to get guidance from my section in respect of that possible re-advertising, or whether the media alert would suffice, but to ensure that it goes into all papers that we like to target. Chairperson, also on the issue of the content, correctly so, Honorable Madada does indicate that doesn't help just to give the figures, but to also have a look at the content. And that is exactly what we are now tasked to do, Honorable Chairperson, in respect of submissions received to date. Do that type of summary or collation of the information and the comments, written submissions that was received. So we will be trying to do that exercise between now and before members return. We are going to, I'm going to say, I'll speak to Sisposha and my management, but if we can try and send or get a batch through to members as soon as we are able to, once we've started collating the information, Chairperson, we can start that process in the meantime and can share that with members via email, members to be able to see the type of submissions that have been received. So on those, Chairperson, I will, and we will of course make sure that the deadline of the 15th of August is communicated to the general public on the various platforms, and I will just find guidance and from my unit as to how best we can do that, and as soon as possible. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, Ms. Posh, do you want to add the bouncing emails? Anyone to give respond on that?
Chairperson, it's Llewellyn. Just one quick one. Yeah, on the issue of the bouncing emails. At the time when we created this dedicated email address, it was on my computer, and we had a case where just for over the night, my mailbox had reached its capacity. But by the morning, by 11 o'clock that morning, I did receive calls from members who indicated that they were getting complaints regarding that. And at the time we were busy and we were able to shift submissions so that we could create space. But that happened just over with less than a 24-hour period, that some of the emails may have bounced. It could also have been the fact that around the last week, there was really a great flood of emails coming through. So it could have been that, you would have just had to try maybe once again. But most of the people that called me and had problems, we were able to assist them, Chairperson. But that email address is not empty, but it's able to accept submissions. And when we reach a certain amount, we then move these emails to a different folder to create this space, Chairperson. So yes, there was the case that some emails bounced at some point, but it was for less than a few hours until we were able to rectify that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Ms. Posh, do you want to add?
Yes, Honorable Adons, thanks. In line with Mr. Brown, I think we welcome the suggestion, the recommendation for the extension of the bill. I think for this meeting in particular, as Mr. Brown has indicated, we felt because it is the first meeting after the deadline of the 15th June, and we had received already the responses, that at least the committee would just get a picture of what is happening. However, we do take note also of the recommendation that the content submission must come forth. Currently, at the present moment, we are looking at that, and fortunately, our unit manager, Mr. Bandi, who's also present at this meeting, had asked for additional support so that we can have more hands on deck to assist us as a committee in terms of the capturing of the responses and submissions to ensure that members get a full view of this specific bill. With regards to the question also which was raised as to the more broader explanation, I think the report will also in depth highlight what we did. We took, for example, batch by batch from number 1 to 69, 70, moving forward and all that. Like the stakeholders, whether they support the bill, the clause or chapter theme, questions that they've raised in comments, whether they were requesting for oral submission, and also noting the recommendations that the specific stakeholders were making. So the report will be made available to the committee. And thank you very much for the recommendations and the comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Posh. DBE, anyone from DBE to clarify us on the concerns about the additional clauses to the bill? I have also seen that what Honorable Sukeras was talking about. However, it was a separated kind of a link that was, circulating, that I've seen. It was not
recording in progress.
It was not included to the entire clauses that we normally have of the bill, the 56 clauses. But I would also need to hear from DBE if whether that there is such clauses in existence. Anyone from DBE?
Good evening, Chairperson. It's Mahada. We, Chair, would note that we do not have the normal senior managers that would normally be part of the portfolio committee meetings. We looked at the purpose of the meeting and we thought this is mainly allocated to members to deliberate on the processes of the committee, and therefore we just joined to observe. Maybe just to indicate that understanding the question, one would request maybe Mr. Brown to check with the legal services of Parliament on what are the prospects of doing that. We will also check from our side with the legal services that dealt with the legislative processes of this bill, on what are the prospects of doing that, so that based on the legal provisions of the statutes of parliament, as well as how the bill it's conducted, the bill processes of the bills are conducted, we are given proper guidance. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahata. I hope when the explanation given will also receive it as the portfolio committee members will share with all the members of the committee on the proper information. I see again the hand of Honorable Sukers. Is that a follow-up, Honorable Sukers?
Yes, Chair, it is a follow-up. It is just in regard to the submissions that I think Honorable Nodada, I didn't hear fully when he was speaking on it. So if I do duplicate, I do apologize. But in terms of the submissions, I just want to ask, Chair, if we can have a special session for oral submissions during which the voice of the child can be heard. And if we can also have oral submission sessions specifically for home education. It is a different modality, home education, and I think it would, I would certainly appreciate an opportunity to understand the differences. Just in terms of, Chair, of what you've said lastly, I just want to note, I think Honorable Boshoff alluded to it earlier, the changes, the 2017 version of the bill on which the public commented, it did not include the extension, for instance, of compulsory education. I just want to add that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Honorable Sukers. I see when I count from today up until the 15th of August, it's almost 6 weeks. If maybe we can also agree when the advert must go out, and also what will happen to emails or submissions that maybe came after the 15th of June, after the closing date. If maybe we also as the portfolio committee give direction if there were any, Mr. Brown and Ms. Posh, if there were any emails or information or submissions that came after the 15th of June, if maybe we can get any information whether there was such emails, and what must we do as the committee members. Do we allow such emails to be counted as being submitted, or what do we do as the committee? Maybe if we can just also as a committee decide on that one, or do we take it that after the 15th everything continues up until the 15th of August? Mr. Brown, if maybe you can and this post clarify what the Honorable Sukels has alluded to, and then we'll give over to committee members to also deliberate on the procedure going forward, or the process going forward.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Adwins. Just on the last issue about the submissions received after the 15th, Chairperson, those submissions have been accepted. We have them on record. They haven't been lost anywhere. So I do have them on record. Of course, I can check from date, email dates. I'll know how many of them. They weren't that much, but there were a few that came after the deadline. But they are not lost. They are still within the system, and I still have them on record. And depending on the directive from the committee that we accept those going forward, that they are still on record, Chairperson. On the issue of the sessions, the oral submission sessions, Chairperson, that is again something that the committee will decide upon when we get to that stage of oral submissions, to maybe consider having as Honorable Sukas has requested, having specific sessions with Voice of the Child, and also specific sessions on home education / homeschooling. But that is a decision that the committee will take, and that, of course, we will be able to give you a comprehensive list of all those that have requested specifically to do an oral submission, Chairperson. They will also be part of the report that we will submit to you in due course. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Bosch, I see your mic is on. I don't know if you want to speak or not.
Okay, on the question that you raised, Honorable Adonis, from where I sit, I would respond by saying on the Parliament objective of public involvement, let's allow the public to make submissions, and also what the committee has agreed here this evening. If I can make an example, like when Mr. Brown checked in the morning that there were about 392, by this evening, 1 hour before the meeting, there were 396. For me, that's an indication that there is an interest, even though it's trailing in a little bit. But when the public is now duly informed that there's an extension, probably will get even more than what we have received so far. So on that aspect, I would say let's allow more submissions to come in. Yeah, thanks. That's all I would like to say at this stage.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Ma'am Shakwani. Honorable Chairperson, let me hand over to you because I think we fully are in agreement as the committee that we support the extension. And there's a proposed date of the 15th. I think we also support the date of the 15th of August, 2022. And also we agree, and as a committee, that proper communication must be in place, all languages, all, corners of the country must, know and understand what is the BELA Bill. They must be informed, and there must be maybe different platforms of communication on this extension, so that the society at large are able to submit in numbers and present their views on this bill. May I hand over to you, and lastly, that the DBE must clarify us on the additional clauses that were mentioned by Honorable Sukers and be communicated with members in due course. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me hand over to you.
No, Chair, thanks very much. I think, like we've said, there is a general agreement. One, we must agree that we are not going to be able to meet till the Parliament resumes, which is around August. Two, we agree that as from tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on the media person and the media alert, that we inform the public that there will be an extension that is granted to them till the 15th of August. For now, till we get to understand whether we will be allowed to do re-advertisements or not. But of course, in our own right, we do have organizations that we are coming from. We will be able to alert our people. But that media alert, we are asking our media person to make sure that it goes tonight or tomorrow morning, the earliest. 3, the submissions that were submitted after the closing date, we allow those submissions to be part of the submissions if they are the number that Ms. Porsche has mentioned, but we take them as part of the submissions. I think that they must be given an opportunity as well to be counted in. And Chair, members must take note that when we come back, we are only going to have 6 weeks from the 15th of August till the other constituency period. So my proposal to the committee is that we would have to work overtime. Apart from the third quarter program that we have submitted, I'm of the view that we need these types of meetings, the late meetings, whether it's once or twice, to process the issue of oral submissions, because we don't know the volume of oral submissions that we will get, so that we process those in that period whilst we are busy with our third quarter program, but we continue with the oral submissions, which means we will have to ask for approval to work at night. And and we are asking members then to avail themselves, because we would basically be working what would be seen as an overtime. So I think that for me is the way forward. It's how we need to tighten up the meeting of tonight, and we will then, from the side of the officials, like we have said, the issue of the media alert, but also what needs to happen from now is that Mr. Brown should speak with the senior manager that gives permission for the adverts probably to be out again, and based on what members had proposed, till the 15th of August. So if I have managed to conclude everything well, I think that would be our way forward, not unless there is something urgently that members feel that I'm leaving, they can then add. But I think that's how we should then conclude this meeting of today, Chairperson. Now I'm chairing, yeah. That's how we need to conclude this meeting of today. Are we agreeing, or am I still part of the meeting?
We agree.
We're in agreement. We're in agreement, Chair.
All right.
We agree, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Seconded.
No, thank you very much, all of you honorable members. So we take it from there, and please, members, if we can encourage our communities or our people to submit whilst it's still early, so that they don't submit when we are towards the closing date, and then we've got problems of emails that are not coming through. So we request that we encourage our people to submit as early as possible, so that also the staff of Parliament that is working on this submission can be able to continuously work, so that when we come back, we deal with the issues of briefing one another, where we are and how did it go. And yes, and that's it. So from my side to you, thank you very much for being part of this meeting. Thank you very much for sacrificing your time and be part of this meeting, which we all needed to know or discuss this way forward. Thank you very much to our parliamentary staff as well, because for the support that you have been giving us. Thank you very much to everybody. May we continue to do our constituency work then on the ground. Good night.